So you want to become a tech bro or a tech sis? Well, one of the many ways to get into tech is to become a computer programmer or a software developer. So today, I want to talk about computer programming and how to get started with computer programming. So let's talk tech. Imagine you are stuck in your house with your pregnant wife and there is no way of taking her to the hospital and her water just broke. So what you decided to do is to call your doctor friend and tell him, oh, my wife is about to give birth, what do I do? So the doctor decided to just give you instructions over the phone to assist your wife to have a safe delivery. So the first thing it tells you is to go to the bedroom to get a bucket of warm water and a neat towel. It tells you to put the towel inside the warm water, squeeze it, and then use the towel to massage the womb of your wife. And it keeps giving you these instructions until you are able to assist your wife to have a safe delivery, and then everything was successful. Now, this same concept applies to computer programming. So the doctor is the expert, the husband is just there following instructions. Now, as fast as computers are, they are still very, very dumb. They are still very, very lifeless. In order for a computer to perform any kind of task successfully, it needs to be instructed. It needs an expert to instruct it to perform that particular task. So the process of giving your computer instructions to follow to achieve a specific task or some set of tasks is what we call computer programming. Now, the instructions that are written and fed to the computer is referred to as a program, right? And if it is further packaged, it becomes an application or a software. So programming is simply writing instructions and then feeding that instruction to a computer to perform a specific task or some set of tasks. Now, when I'm talking about computer in this case, I'm not just referring to your desktop or your laptop. I'm also referring to your smartphone, your ATM where you withdraw your money from, your smart TV, and all those smart computing gadgets and devices out there. All these things are all referred to as computers, and they also need some kind of form of programming for them to perform any kind of task. Take for instance your WhatsApp. Your WhatsApp is an application that runs on your phone, but that application has been written by somebody. Every single task or every single thing you see that your WhatsApp can do is coming from an instruction that has been written by some set of people, right? And as this instruction is what is guiding every single thing that the WhatsApp is doing. Now, the challenge with computer programming, or the challenge with instructing computers and giving them tasks to perform, is that computers ordinarily do not understand English language or human language. That's where the challenge comes. That's why not everybody can become a computer programmer, because you need to speak the language that the computer understands. Now, by default, machines or computer understand what we call machine language. However, we have something called a translator that is able to transform what we call a programming language to a machine language. So if you want to become a programmer or you want to become a software developer, what you need to learn is not a machine language. What you need to learn is a programming language. And we have several types of programming language. We have C++, we have Python, we have Java, we have Flutter, we have Dart. We have a lot of languages, right? What if I even tell you that there are about 9,000 programming languages? Now, don't get scared. It doesn't mean you have to learn all these 9,000 programming languages for you to get started with computer programming, right? You only need to learn a few of them. At most 3, then you're good to go. So how do you get started with computer programming? First of all, I would advise that you take your time to understand how computers work. That is a very good place to start from. So if you are new to the whole computer concepts and everything, start by having some basic understanding about how computers work. Things like memory, input and output devices, how to use, a operating system properly, be it a Windows operating system or a Linux operating system, any one of them. Just get yourself familiar with computers generally. Be able to do simple basic tasks with computer, be able to use basic softwares. Now, once you are comfortable with computers generally, then the next question you need to ask yourself is, what do I want to do with programming? Because you can't just become a programmer for programming sake. It's not something you just do for doing sake, right? There are several fields that involves programming. Programming is just a tool. It is just like learning how to code. It's just like learning how to use hammer or learning how to use a drilling machine. And this hammer or drilling machine can be used in several fields, right? So you can learn, as a banker, you can learn how to be a programmer and apply programming to banking. As an engineer, you can learn how to be a programmer and apply programming to engineering. So there are several things you can actually achieve through programming. And then until you actually find clarity on what you want to use programming to do, it becomes a little bit difficult for you to get started with programming, because you begin to ask yourself, what language do I learn first, right? So you shouldn't start by asking yourself, what programming language should I learn? You should start by asking yourself, what do I want to do with programming? Now, what I mean is this. For instance, if your aim with computer programming is to become a web developer, that is somebody that writes codes for websites or develop websites, then there's a particular stack of programming language that would really be useful for you, right? So for web design, you most likely want to start with things like HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and similar languages, right? If you are learning programming because you want to go into robotics, right, then you should learn, definitely you need to go into C++/C, and then you can also include Python for doing things like artificial intelligence. If your aim is to learn programming for, let's say, developing applications for your Android, your iOS, so I think for Android you need Java. For iOS, I can't really remember right now, but there's a particular programming language used for iOS. You can also use Flutter to develop cross-platform apps for smartphone, for both iOS and then for Android phones also. So Flutter, React Native, and Java is basically good for Android development. If you are learning programming because you want to go into data science or AI or data analysis and similar fields, then you would want to go for Python. There are other languages used in data science like R. However, Python is the most common one. So if you are learning Python, it's very easy for you to get resources online to learn. So the point here is that you don't just decide what language to learn. You start by finding clarity on what kind of job or what kind of thing do you intend using programming for. So a lot of people, interchange the word coding for programming, but they're actually two different things. Coding is basically writing codes, right? Picking a programming language and then writing code using the syntax of that language. While programming is the actual complete process of creating a full program for a machine. So not everybody can program. A lot of people can code. Not everybody that can code can program. That's the truth. Because programming involves some level of creativity. It's not just about knowing the syntax, right? As a matter of fact, I tend to place priority more on creativity. Let's say I'm trying to interview somebody for a job that involves programming. Yes, fine, I want you to know how to program, I want you to know the basic of programming, but I'm really more concerned about creativity. Creativity is really important when it comes to programming, because you could know all the syntax in Python, you could know all the functions in Python, you could know all the libraries and packages in Python, but if you lack creativity, then you can't create anything reasonable as a computer programmer. So I'm going to recap again. Start by getting familiar with computers generally, how they work, and some other basic fundamentals about computer memories, input and output device. Then after that, ask yourself, what do you want to do with programming? Do you want to go into web design? Do you want to go into AI? Do you want to go into robotics? Do you want to go into whatever it is you want to go to will determine the kind of language you learn. At most, just focus on 2 languages, 2 to 3 languages at most, right? You can start with just 1. Now, if you are kind of person who just wants to go into computer programming, you're not really sure about what field you want to settle for, you just want to get yourself familiar with computer programming, I'm going to advise that you start with Python, because Python gives you an opportunity to start doing something reasonable within a short period of time. Now, C++ will also be a good advice. However, with C++, you might probably have to take so much time learning C++ before you can actually do something interesting with it. So if you are really interested in starting programming and you want to start seeing quick results, you want to start creating programs that are really useful and interesting in a very short period of time, then go for Python. Python is definitely the language for that. Another reason why I would advise Python is because Python is almost kind of multi-purpose. Python can be used in almost everywhere. Now, it doesn't mean because Python can be used in everywhere, it should be used everywhere, right? There are places where Python has its strengths, right? But at the same time, if you're just experimenting, right, with different fields, with Python you can actually develop Android apps. With Python you can actually develop iOS apps. So if you're interested in that, you can check out something called what is it called? Kivy. Yeah, it's called Kivy. You can check out Kivy. Kivy allows you to develop iOS and Android app with Python. Like I said, it doesn't mean that you should do this for a product that's going to go to the market, right? But it just tells you how powerful and general purpose Python can be, right? So Python can also be used in places like robotics and embedded systems with something they call MicroPython. So in MicroPython, you can actually write code for chips, right? Even with ordinary Python, you can get something like Raspberry Pi and start programming embedded systems and robotics. With Python, you can do web development for backend and also for front end. With a little bit combination with HTML or CSS, you can actually create nice interactive websites with Python. So Python is quite general purpose. However, Python is more useful when it comes to things like data science and AI. So guys, that's what computer programming is all about. It's simply giving instructions for your computer to follow, and this is something that is really useful and important in today's world, because almost everything is becoming computerized, right? And we need people to computerize our everyday activity that we usually do manually. It's a really interesting topic. It's a really interesting tool, and it is something that with creativity can lead to so many valuable products. So yes, that is one way to get into tech. So once you've decided what you want to do with computer programming, and you've also decided what language you want to learn, then you can go ahead and start learning that language, right? You can go on YouTube, you can go on Udemy, right? The best way to search for things as a beginner on YouTube is to type something like Python for complete beginners on YouTube. Just search for Java for complete beginners, Python for complete beginners, whatever language, and then put for complete beginners in front. I'm also going to be creating a playlist for Python, for AI and data science on my channel very soon. I'm also going to be creating a playlist for C++ for embedded systems and robotics. So if you're interested in that, you can stay tuned to my channel. I'm going to be releasing that very soon. Alright guys, thank you for watching today's episode, and I hope that this encouraged you to start working towards becoming a software developer or a computer programmer. It's really interesting thing once you get yourself familiar with the whole concept and begin to learn your very first language. It becomes really interesting. I'm not going to lie, it's going to become frustrating at some point also, because it's really difficult, especially when you are learning these things on your own, right? But for me, I think the joy that comes after you create a successful program is way beyond the pain that you go through. So yeah, it's not going to be easy, but it's something that is worth learning if you really want to learn it. Alright guys, I think that is short, but that'll be all for today. Thank you for watching today's episode of Let's Talk Tech, and please, if you've not subscribed yet, kindly subscribe, like this video, and most importantly, share this video. I'll catch you some other time. Thank you very much. See ya. Hey, you still haven't clicked on the like button, you still haven't subscribed. Why are you doing this to me, guys? Why? Please, please, for the last time, turn on notification, subscribe, click on the like button, and please, I'm begging you guys, please share this video. Thank you. I really love you guys. Thank you.